So somebody else that is a longtime political friend of mine is Rich Burke, Western Liberty Network. Rich and I served together. My first legislative term was in 1999, and Rich was the legislative aide for Republican State Senator Gary George. We've become very, very good friends. We've worked together very closely in grassroots politics. Rich now is, his organization, Western Liberty Network, offers premier training throughout this state. They have a couple of events where they bring in nationally known speakers, and he'll be introducing actually John Tamney, who's going to be joining us in about a half hour here live from Washington, D.C. So please welcome Rich Burke, Western Liberty Network.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say hello to a bunch of organizations out there that I've worked with and come to know the leaders of. Parents' Rights in Education, which is a Western Liberty Network affiliate, Suzanne Gallagher and all of those good people, and of course the People's Rights Organizations. Did a training not long ago down in Klamath Falls to the People's Rights groups there, and of course Cottage Grove 912, I know that they're represented here, and just so many good organizations. I'm sorry if I don't mention all of them, but the reason why I wanted to do that is to point something out. You are the most important people in the limited government movement. Those of you who have been to my conference, how many of you have been to a Western Liberty Network event in the past? Yeah, we've got a few hands up. That's good. You've probably heard me say this, and that is that leaders like Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan, and folks like that, they're important. They're pivotal. They can create a moment. They can create a movement. But they cannot create enduring change. You'll notice that right now, President Biden's trying to undo everything that President Trump did. And President Trump, yeah, there you go. And President Trump undid or tried to everything that President Obama did, who undid everything that President Bush did, and so on and so forth. That's the way it goes. As limited government activists, we don't want to see temporary change, one step forward, two step back. We want to see enduring change. And the way you create enduring change is to change the underlying political culture of your state and your nation. If you have a culture that's conservative, the leaders that arise are going to mostly be conservative. If you have a liberal culture, the leaders that rise are going to be mostly liberal. And the political culture can only be defined at the grassroots, and that's you. Your involvement, your willingness to take responsibility for your governance is the key to this country. The left, I got to take my hat off to them. They've done that because in some ways the state is their God. With us, it's different. With limited government people, we're concerned about our friends, our family, grandkids, businesses, living life. Serving in local nonpartisan office is a little bit like a hitch in the military. But if we don't do it, the other side will, and the other side has. But we can take this on because, all things being equal, our ideas are better. They speak to what is in the heart of good people. They speak to what is inspirational in humanity. So get out there and do that. And so Western Liberty Network exists as a 501c3 organization to build farm teams of local nonpartisan office holders. Since 2013, just under 1,100 people who've taken our training have been elected to some local office. Water board, school board, fire board, those kinds of things. We build farm teams of citizen lobbyists and farm teams of skilled campaign workers. I'm going to provide a training shortly about how to do some of that work. And I would like to encourage you to become active. Go to the westernlibertynetwork.org website, go to the training page. You will see all kinds of documents and videos, and you can design your own training plan to hone your skills. And if you want to do it live interactively, register for our February 4th conference. It's on the homepage of westernlibertynetwork.org. We will be having 20 breakout sessions organized along 4 tracks: becoming a more effective citizen lobbyist, running for and winning local office in 2023. 3,500 seats are up next year. Fighting for school choice and skills to promote election integrity and good governance. So go to westernlibertynetwork.org for more details on that. So what I'm going to provide today is a training on getting out the vote, but first, political canvassing. If you are working on election integrity issues, as some people are, and you are going door to door to make sure that the records that the election office has match up with what people actually did, I know that's happening in a number of counties right now, you will be doing canvassing door to door. If you are working for a candidate or a ballot measure campaign and you're going door to door, you are canvassing. If you are doing literature dumps, you are canvassing. And I want to encourage everybody out there to do some canvassing, or if you can't, help somebody who is. Because I'll tell you something, in a state like Oregon, where limited government activists have a disadvantage in statewide voter registration, we've got to compensate with personal contact. And there is nothing better than talking to your neighbor across a doorway, meeting eye to eye, even if they don't agree with you. This is how to move people. And when you have a voter registration disadvantage, you've got to move people, and you can do that for personal conduct. So I'm going to teach a little bit today about canvassing. First of all, do not be shy about it. A lot of folks don't like to canvass because they don't like to intrude on people, especially people they don't know. You know, conservatives who value privacy and property rights are particularly attuned to this. But remember, we're a self-governing society. And when you knock on somebody's door and give them information, you are empowering them to exercise their franchise. They might take your information and accept it, or they might reject it, but they will have it. And it will help them make a decision that lets them exercise their personal franchise. You are doing them a favor when you knock on the door. You're not asking them for money. You're not asking them for time other than the time spent talking to you at their door. You are helping to give them power with information. So don't be shy about talking to your neighbors. Now, is political canvassing soliciting? The answer is no. Okay, the Supreme Court has ruled that soliciting is when you are selling. If you are asking for money, asking for something of value, you are soliciting. There is a legal difference between soliciting and canvassing, and it is a First Amendment right to canvass your neighborhood. I'm going to say this again, but you can canvass apartment buildings if it says no soliciting, because you're not soliciting. You can knock on a door that says no soliciting, although I'll talk about that in a second. Homeowners associations cannot stop you from doing political canvassing. And I'll have more information about that in a second. But field canvassers are legally allowed to be on private property and knock on doors. This includes homes that have no soliciting signs. Now, not everyone knows the difference between no soliciting and no trespassing or no canvassing. So you knock on the door, no soliciting, you decide to knock on the door, and they say, "Don't you see my no soliciting sign?" Well, you don't want to make an enemy, right? And so it's okay to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not soliciting, I'm canvassing. But, if you don't want to talk to me, I'd be happy to leave immediately." Be very polite. Most folks won't do that. Most folks will just say, "Well, what do you got?" Right? But you can approach a door that says no soliciting. You cannot approach a door that says no trespassing. And you cannot approach a door that says no canvassing, because private property owners are authorized to make those delineations. Apartment building managers and homeowner associations cannot, because you do have a First Amendment right. But the owners or renters of the apartments or the buildings do have a right to say no canvassing or no trespassing. And if they do, stay away, but you can knock on no soliciting signs. You have the right to offer campaign literature to voters, even to gated communities with HOAs. Political canvassers are legally permitted to knock on doors interact and distribute literature without a permit. And this was Lovell versus the city of Griffin, Georgia. That was decided in 1938. So the city cannot require that you have a solicitor's permit. You are not required to give prior notice before canvassing neighborhoods. Sometimes it's a good idea. If you're going to go into, like the Sun River HOA, for example, you might want to inform them that you're going to be there so that they can look and find out in advance that you have a right to be there and won't try to call the cops on you. Okay, that's important. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that municipalities cannot restrict canvassing between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on all 7 days of the week. This is Citizen Action Coalition versus the town of Yorktown, Indiana in 2014. Now, I wouldn't advise canvassing before 9 a.m. or after 9 p.m. anyway, but cities cannot restrict you except during those hours. Other things to know. Studies have shown that a 3-minute interaction between volunteers and voters increases the chances of persuasion. Political leaflets can add to that convincing effort. Now, I tell people to keep conversations as short as possible. Your job when you are out there canvassing for a candidate or doing a literature drop is not to persuade people, is not to make friends, it is to cover as many doors as possible. You will find people, when you knock on their doors, who will want to talk to you, who will say, yes, I agree with you, and you're going to want to talk to them and talk about people you know in common and so on, but boom, 20 minutes are gone that you could have hit, another 10 doors. Same thing with people who disagree. It's fun to debate sometimes. And you'll talk to someone, you'll talk about different issues, and you'll be on opposite sides. You'll talk with someone who's woke or liberal, and before you know it, 20 minutes are gone. And you've missed the opportunity to knock on 10 doors. And this is important, especially if you're doing voter integrity work or election integrity work and trying to true up what the county says and what people actually did. You've got to make the most of coverage. So keep your interactions as short as possible. And if you find someone you want to debate or you find someone you want to talk to, just give them your phone number and say you'll be happy to meet them next week at Starbucks or someplace like that. So you're still being nice, you're still being polite, you're still showing a willingness to interact, but you're not destroying your workday, okay? Now, you can leave leaflets on doorknobs between doors. You can wedge it in between the glass door and the other one. You can curl it up and put it in a chain link fence. But make sure you leave it in a place that's visible and it does not fly away. The one thing you cannot do is put literature in a mailbox. It is against the law to put anything into a mailbox or anything that is obviously used as a mailbox. So make that very... Now, I don't know, some of you have a sheet. The Parents' Rights in Education were kind enough to do a handout. I think everybody has those. Thank you, and you should have some of this information with you. Now, make sure you are equipped, or I'm going to start with this. Prepare yourself. Check the weather, and make sure you dress appropriately. If it is raining or it might rain, do not bring an umbrella. You're going to need your hands free. If it's going to rain or it might rain, wear a poncho or something with a hood on it or a hat. Make sure that your hands are free. Make sure that you have appropriate shoes. I've seen women with high heel shoes show up to canvass neighborhoods. They're good for about a block. And then their feet hurt and they have to go home to change shoes and then they don't come back. Okay? So make sure that you have good shoes that are appropriate to the weather. Wear a badge or a lanyard of some kind to make sure that you have some identifier so people have some sense that you are who you say you are and that you're not a 5-state axe murderer knocking on their door. And also make sure that someone is with you because you want to make sure the people at the door are not 5-state axe murderers themselves. Always work in pairs. Try not to work in groups larger than a pair because groups can be intimidating to people, at your door. Also, have a fully charged cell phone with you. I've seen canvassers that need to call on, make sure their kids are okay every hour or so, and their cell phone is dead, and they go home, they don't come back. Once they leave the field, they don't come back, okay? Make sure that you're equipped. If you are doing door-to-door as part of an organization, get a walking list so that you know where they're going, where you're going, and what order you want your houses to go in. A good walking list will have some information about each person, like what party they're registered with. Sometimes, when I worked for a guy named Tim McHenry in Sublimity years ago, he was a big school choice person. We had different flyers for Republicans and Democrats. For Republicans, it said parents should direct their children's education. For the Democrats, it said poor and working class kids should have the same choices rich kids do, right? Same message, properly packaged. You can sometimes do that and, touch people where they're sensitive. You're not being dishonest or lying. You're just showing different aspects of the argument that appeal to different people. Make sure you have that literature. Make sure you have a small backpack or a container. Have 2 bottles of water and 2 sandwiches. People will sometimes get hungry and take a break. I've seen situations where people say, there's a McDonald's a few blocks away. I could use a break for lunch. Let's go get a burger. They don't come back. Okay? Have a sandwich with you so that you can take a break and eat sandwich and have water, especially if it's a hot day. And the person who's with you, in case they forget, don't let them go to McDonald's because they won't come back. Okay? Have a sandwich and a bottle of water for them. And again, make sure your cell phone is fully charged. Always work in pairs for safety. Have your pitch ready. Think about what you're going to say. Now, your organizer may have a script for you, but I discourage the use of scripts. What people are hungry for out there is authenticity. They want somebody who's real. And you're not going to give them that if you say, hello, I am Richard Burke. I am representing so-and-so for Congress. I would like to talk to you about the 3 things. Don't do that. What I recommend is this. Have a flyer, something to hand them, and just when they answer the door, stick it out to them and say, hi, my name is Rich. I'm with the Joe Blow for Congress campaign, and I'd like you to have this. And that's all. Don't say anything more. Now, generally, if you extend something, instinctively, they'll take it. And that's an opening. And once you've introduced yourself and who you are and that you have information for them, if they want to talk to you, they'll talk to you. And you might be able to answer questions. But remember, don't talk too long. Sorry about that. Did I do that? It's a flag. We don't have to burn it now, do we? That'll be good for the video. Yes, that's right. It's built tough. Look at that. No damage. Nothing can ruin this flag, right? That's right. I love it. Okay, and also, I encourage you when you're equipped to have a paper list. A lot of people like to use these electronic gizmos now, and they're fine, but if you're going to use them, all the canvassers need to be trained how to use them. Some people have different phones, iPhones, Android phones, which means it's not going to run the same on every platform, which means you're going to need a technical person to help everybody. It means you're going to have to train them. You're going to have to deal with problems. There are going to be outages, dead batteries, these kind of things. So no, I encourage people to work with paper lists. You can make notes. Has mean dog, wants to volunteer, do not answer, those kind of things. And those things can be compiled at headquarters. But have your pitch ready. Hi, I'm Rich. I'm working for Joe Blow for Congress. Hand them something that opens the door for conversation. Have a brief conversation. Move to the next person. Respect property. We believe in property rights as conservatives. I've seen a lot of activists with good intentions walk across yards to get to the next door more quickly. Don't do that. Use the easements, the sidewalks, and the approach walkways for houses as much as possible. It's a little bit indirect sometimes, but you've got to respect property rights. Also, be careful what you say. You're going to be in a pair, and you're going to be tempted to make comments. Boy, that person was really nice, or boy, that person was really a jerk. But don't do that, because there are these new things out there called smart doorbells. Smart doorbells with very sensitive microphones that can detect whispers across the street. And they record. And you may find that if you say something unfortunate, it could be on a campaign ad against the candidate you're working for. Okay? because you never know if you're going to knock on the door of somebody who's working for the other person and they say nasty things about you walking away. They take a clip of it and they use it in an ad. You don't want to have that happen. So be very careful of what you say. Save subjective comments for after the event is over when you get together at a pizza place or something like that. Again, keep conversations short. Interacting with people is good, but get to as many doors as possible. Politely terminate conversations as fast as you can and go to the next door. Now, this is the most important thing. If you don't take anything else away from my speech today, take this. Do not take anything that happens to you personally, okay? I have seen activists have a bad luck. People who'd never canvassed before, their first 4 or 5 doors were all negative experience. One person, they got called a fascist. The other one, the door slammed in their face. The other person, they told go away. And then after 4 or 5 doors, this particular activist said, you know what? I didn't sign up for this. I'm done. And they quit for the day and they quit forever. This person took it personally. Now, there will be wonderful people that you meet. You may make friends. If you do it long enough, you will make friends. But there will be jerks out there. It's hard to do it in your heart, easier to do it in your head. But don't take it personally. These people know nothing about you. They know nothing about your faith. They know nothing about your family. They know nothing about your values. They know nothing about you. So they have no qualifications to make any judgments about you if they say negative things. Remember, if they say negative things at the door, it's more likely a reflection of something inside themselves than it is to do with you. If they use 4-letter words, it's a reflection of themselves, not you. You are out there exercising your franchise, your First Amendment rights, helping them to be able to make better decisions by providing them with information. You are doing them a favor. And if they respond rudely, do not take it personally. Ronald Reagan admonished us to be happy warriors, even when we know that not everyone out there is a happy warrior. So remember, you will have positive experiences, you will have negative experiences. Learn from them, but do not take them personally, okay? Another one, and this is tough for conservatives, COVID is still out there. And this is what I encourage them to do. When you knock on a door, step back 6 or 8 feet. It's polite anyway. You don't want to be in people's space. There are people who are still petrified of COVID, and we may think they're unreasonable, but we might agree with them on other issues, and they might vote for your candidate. You don't want to alienate them, and you are on their property. If I have a house and I own it, and I say no one is allowed to be on my property unless they wear purple tennis shoes, as ridiculous as that is, as a property owner, that's my right. And as conservatives, we have to respect that. We might say, what a goofball. But as conservatives, we respect that. The same thing for COVID. I encourage people to put a mask in their pocket. Don't wear it while you're canvassing. But if someone asks you to put on a mask and you're on their property, their rules, say, okay, take it out while you're talking to them, because you'll show them that you respect them and their property, and they may be more inclined to lower their barriers and listen to what you have to say. And then, of course, when you're done talking to them, rip that sucker off as fast as you can, stick it back in your pocket, okay? Don't hug unless the hug is initiated by the other person. Don't shake hands unless the other person initiates the handshake. Never mind that the piece of literature you're handing them at the door probably has germs all over it, and when they pick it up, they'll have the germs too. But people don't think that way, and they'll take the flyer. And most people have immunity against all that stuff anyway. That's part of First Amendment canvassing. So make sure you take COVID precautions. And another important thing, too, is have fun. Have fun with this. You're going to be with a person, you're going to be working with other people for a cause you care about. If you're coordinating a canvassing effort, I encourage you to have some kind of a get-together just before the canvassing begins, maybe at a donut shop, where you make sure everybody has what they need. They've got a sandwich, they've got water, that they've got a walking list, whatever they need, assign them their neighborhoods, and have them go. And at the end, meet maybe at a pizza place or a bowling alley where you can share stories with each other. You will all have different experiences, and you will talk about it, and you will, in the process, educate each other, and you'll build camaraderie, you'll learn a lot, and it'll be fun. And if people have fun, they'll be more likely to come back. They'll be more likely to do it again. So that's very, very important. And if you do these things, I know it's hard to ask people to give up time to canvass their neighborhoods, but please do it. The numeric composition of the electorate demands that we do it, that we interact with our fellow voters. I've done it. I'm going to do it. I hope that you will as well. And if you follow this information, you will be successful. Not at every door, but overall you will be successful. And another thing I ask that everybody do is get out the vote. This is going to be important not only in November, but also in May. In May, there are 3,500 positions up for office, and a lot of them are school board positions. And these are low turnout elections, which means that if you get your people out, it will have more impact than even in a general election, because it's a low election turnout for the other side as well. The people at Newburgh Strong know this. They got their people out when they got their people elected, and they also got their people out when they were recalling members of the school board. Now they're doing it in Salem-Keizer. I'm very proud that Western Liberty Network had provided training to both the Newburgh School Board and to McMinnville Strong to help them do these things. And we just did, at the rec in Salem, we just did a training for the group that's going to be doing recalls in Salem-Keizer. Now, mind you, Western Liberty Network does not endorse or impose anything because we're a 501c3, but we give people the skills they need to be successful. Now, getting back to getting out the vote. Naturally, I encourage you to participate in any of the statewide voter canvassing efforts that your political party has or that your candidate has. There will be phone banks. You will be able to participate from home or from a central location. I encourage people to participate in those as much as possible. But what I train people to do is to augment those efforts with a personal get out the vote plan. Now, if you're like me, I've got a few liberal friends, but most of my friends are conservative libertarian. And that's probably true for virtually every one of you as well. And turnouts are not what they should be in general elections or the special elections like the ones coming up in May. And we can augment the official get out the vote efforts with ones of our own. And it's very simple. It is not rocket science. Get a piece of paper. Write down the names of everybody you know, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your lawyer, the people you do dry cleaning with, folks on your bowling team, people you play cards with, all of the people you know, especially people who favor limited government principles. And contact them. Ask them if they have voted. Ask them if they have a plan to vote. Stanford University did a study that showed that people are 72% more likely to vote if they do two things. First, tie the act of voting to their personal identity. That's easy to do. It's like Jeff, my friend Jeff Krepp over there. I can say, Jeff, you've been a Republican for how many years? How many years have you been a Republican?
All my life.
All of his life. I can say all of his life, he's been a conservative. So, Jeff, as somebody who's been a conservative all your life, you know that these elections are important, right? What are they going to do? Say no? Okay? So I'm calling to make sure that you vote. What you've done is you've tied the act of voting to their personal identity. And the second thing you need to do is find out if there's a plan to vote. People who plan to vote are more likely to vote than those who don't. Okay, so planning to vote. When are you going to vote, Jeff? Jeff might say something like, well, I was thinking of doing it while I'm eating dinner next Tuesday night. That's a plan. Okay, it doesn't have to be complicated. That's a plan. Tie the act of voting to their personal identity and find out what their plan is to vote. If they do those two things, they're 72% more likely to vote. So call all of the people on this list that you have and do the same thing. On the training tab of the westernlibertynetwork.org website, there is a guide on how to do the personal Get Out the Vote campaign and a worksheet you can use. Each worksheet has information for 2 voters, and you can copy and print as many of them as you want, where you can track, did they vote yet? Are they registered? Did you contact them? What's their phone number? All of these kind of things. And if you're able to contact 20 people, and if a few more people are able to contact 20 people, it could make the difference in a lot of elections. I was talking to the Salem Kaiser activists last week, and one election was decided, a school board election was decided by 50 votes, another one by 87 votes, another one by 200 votes, and they lost all 3 of those elections. It was turnout. Those numbers are small enough that a personal Get Out the Vote campaign conducted by 5-6 people would have been enough to flip all 3 of those races. So this can matter. You are the most powerful people in the nation. You just don't know it. You are the ones that exclusively have the power to form the political culture of this state. And as we like to say in Western Liberty Network, we want to reweave the fabric of our political culture. You start replacing blue threads with red threads, pretty soon the fabric looks purple. Then it starts to look red. And then you have a different culture, and you have different leaders and a different future. Go to westernlibertynetwork.org, check out the training tab, register for our conference on February 3rd. And if you are in organizations where you would like to have live on-site training, let me know. We have a stable of about 20 volunteer trainers who are experts on various subjects. And with that,